Oh dear. Hello. Hi there, Michelle. New case. Yes. I was going to continue discussing summer wells because I've got something lined up for that. But then this came out, and I'm not joking. You think the Epstein files are bad? This is worse. This is way worse. I knew it was going to be bad. How's it going? I'm okay. It's just like I didn't come on last night because I'd set up a live. I fell asleep and I didn't wake up till like 9 o'clock time because at the moment my tablet that I have on the night time is not kicking in. No, it's not kicking in. So I'm literally awake till about 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning. Then I go to bed, literally forcing myself to sleep. And then I wake up normal time, 8:39, sometimes 10, and then I'm falling asleep in the afternoon because I'm so tired. And I do go through phases where this tablet does not work, it's not kicking in. So hopefully over the weekend it'll kick in and I'll start getting some sleep, proper sleep. And that's why I wasn't on last night. But normally I go to bed about 12ish because I take my tablet at 10 and I come off my live, take my tablet, I sit here, I chill out, let the tablet kick in, right? And then I go to bed about between 11:30 12, right? And I'm asleep within half an hour of my head, within 15 minutes of my head hitting that pillow. But when the tablet doesn't kick in, I can be up all night. I think the other night I replied to an email Anne sent me, and I think it was about, I'd have to look back on my email, but I think it was about 3:30. I replied to that email in the morning, and I was up till about what 6? Well, about 7ish. I went to bed for a few hours. It's ridiculous. Bedtime is probably oh oh well that's nice. Me, me if that was my hobby, I'd be going. I'm going to bed. Fuck you. I'm going to bed. But no, he used to work. He did at one time when he worked at the airport. He did a night shift, and didn't do that very often. Work night shifts, and he was doing a night shift this one week. So he was going to work about. I think he was going to work about 6, about 7ish. So I getting his dinner cooked early, getting the dinner done early, so we could sit down and have something to eat with him and the kids. And then he'd go to work. Then, as I'm getting up with the kids in the morning to get them ready for school, he's coming in. He used to get in about 7:30. The kids would go about 8. Some mornings, he'd even drop the kids off at school. So, so yeah. But I hate this when I can't sleep. I hate it. I really, really hate it. So I just have to keep taking the tablets and hope to God one night it's going to kick in. But today, because I've been looking at this, the Rape Gang Enquiry, right? Because I've been reading that, and I've I have literally marked out a lot of the words, because I cannot afford to get another strike. Everyone, this is going on YouTube, and I cannot afford to get another strike. So I've literally marked out all the words that I've seen. Oh God, yeah, yeah. You do need something to make to. When I worked in care as a community care worker, right? I would come home at some nights I wasn't getting in till 11 o'clock. Gone 11 o'clock some nights. I remember one night it was like getting on for 11:30 by the time I got in, and my daughter would be in bed, and I go, I just want someone to vent to. Who can I vent to? And there was no one there because she'd be in bed asleep because she'd be getting up for work in the morning. I'm thinking, oh fuck. But yeah, I used to vent to. I did message people on my phone. Just got fucking in from work. I'm fucking tired. I'm starving, but it's too late to have anything to fucking eat. I've got to be up again at 5 o'clock in the morning. So that's how my days went. So you do need someone if you're in a stressful job. Well, any job, to be honest, you do need someone to vent to. You do need someone. Yeah, I think every job can be stressful because if you work on in a customer service department, right? You can, is that? I wouldn't want. I couldn't do that job as customer service. I couldn't go there and go, "Oh, I'm sorry. Don't worry, we can sort that out for you." I'll go. You know what? Fucking take it back, you stupid blumpy shit. You broke it. You repair it. I could not work in customer services. I'm not polite enough. So I've never worked in customer services. I couldn't. And I remember um when as I said, when I did community work, community care. I always worked on my own. Hated working with another person. Hated it. Right? I like to be on my own. If anything went wrong, my hand went up. I'm at fault. You know what I mean? But when you're working with someone else, it's, oh, she done it. It's her fault. They would never put a hand up to it. And I'm thinking, what have I fucking done? You know what I mean? What have I fucking done? I ain't done nothing. I ain't touched fucking nothing. But I'm getting the blame for this. You know what I mean? So I like to work on my own. And every so often, I'd have someone coming around with me, someone who's new to the job. And they'd come round with me so I could show them what had to be done, how it was done. And this one time, the woman who I was showing her working with, I'd already put a complaint in to the office to my supervisors about her because I'm sitting in the pub one night. I was on work still. I was still at work, but I was on a break. I had a jacket on, so it didn't show the name of the company I worked for. And I was sitting in the corner with a newspaper, cheese salad roll, and a cup of coffee that my daughter would do for me because she was working behind the bar. She always got me a cheese salad roll, a cup of coffee, and saved me the newspaper. Made sure no one else took the newspapers before I got there. And I'd be sitting in the corner, and this one woman said, "Oh," she literally diving across the bar at me, going, "I'm going to be your new supervisor. You'll have to listen to me in future." Blah blah blah. And I sat there. My daughter looked at me. I looked at my daughter. My daughter thought, "Fuck, she's going to blow." Oh my God, my mum's going to blow. I went, "Oh yeah." She said, "Yeah." She said, "Are you entitled to a break?" Well, that was it. That was like putting a red rag to a bull. I've been working since 7 o'clock that morning. That was my first break at 6 o'clock on the night time. And I wouldn't be finished till about 10:30 on the night. So that was my first break all day. And my daughter looked at me and thought, oh shit, she's gonna blow now. She's definitely gonna blow. And I folded the newspaper down, put it on the table. I went, Who the fuck are you to tell me when I'm entitled to a break? You're not my boss. You don't give me fucking orders. I said, and you know what? You got started job with the company. Well, go down with you because I'm now going to phone my supervisor and put a complaint in about you. I walked out, picked my phone up, walked out, phoned my supervisor up. I went, who the fuck is this woman? Blah, blah, blah name. And I said, apparently she's starting as a supervisor and she's my new boss. And my supervisor's going, don't you know the fuck you're on about? I said, well, apparently she's my new supervisor. She's sitting there telling me when if I should be having a break or not. I said, and you know darn well I don't have breaks in the day. I don't get a break till 6 o'clock on the night. And I'm going from 7 in the I'm literally raving on the phone. Right? Then the Monday came and I got a message saying I was going to have someone meeting up with me. I went, okay. When I seen who it was, I thought, they must fucking hate me. They fucking hate me. How I've just put a complaint in about her before she even started working with the company. I put the complaint in. I think it was on the Friday I put the complaint in about her. Right? I said, and now they're going to put her on with me so I can show her around. It's fucking fuming. Down to chemicals and labelling and just, yeah. I worked in a factory once where they had this big fucking air blower. But it didn't work. Oh, yeah, it blew air in. But we were still sweating like fucking pigs in this factory. We were sweltering in the summer. In the winter, it was lovely. Unless you're down by the big doors, but down by the main doors. Then you'd be fucking freezing. Right? Because them doors were always open during the winter and you'd fucking freeze. And you'd be on your machines and your coats and you'd have your gloves on or whatever on you could to keep warm. Honest. There was times when people bring in these little electric heaters and plug them in and put them by the feet because your feet would be like blocks of ice. But in the summer, you're sweating like fucking pigs. I worked medical field. Well, my first job was in an office, right? And then from there, I went to the a factory which made, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, Triton showers. We made the parts to Triton showers. You can still get Triton showers. We used to make the parts to it, like the knobs and all the facias and all that lot. I did that for, God, 5 years. I did 4 years on what they called the twilight shift, which was 1:30 till 10 at night. So I'd get home about 10:30, 11:15. And then when I got married, right, I asked him, before I got married, I said, can I go on to days? I said, because I don't want to be working this twilight shift once I'm married. You know what I mean? I want to be out to spend some time at home with my husband. So I went on to days and before I got married. And then I think I was only on I got married in the January, right? And by the December, I left to go on maternity leave. And I didn't go back after that. But I worked there 5 years, 1 year on days, 4 years on the twilight shift. So you need a job. Anyone who's got a job needs somehow to vent. My husband will come home and go on about the how people would because he worked at the museum as security. Then he left there and he went to the airport. And he was the one putting the bags on the airplanes, your luggages. And you know what the worst case they hate? because I always get stuck in them fecking machines. You know those hard cases, the solid hard cases. Them get stuck in the fecking. I should put them on them runners to go down. They're getting stuck as they're going down. They hate them cases. And if you see how your cases are thrown into the back of that fecking plane, you'd be horrified. You really, really would. Because my husband said, you don't have time. You literally just, they're coming up on these ramps, right? Well, they come off these ramps into these little truck things, then, and they're just throwing them in the trucks, in these little truck things. Then these little trucks take them over to the ramp that put it up on the plane. So they're then throwing it onto the ramps, and then throwing them into these cages on where your cases are kept. I went, that's why my cases are always damaged when I've gone on a plane. And he went, yep. So, but he hated that. He loved the job. He loved the job, but he hated those hard cases. So, anyway, tonight we're looking at. And I can get it open. I'm hitting the wrong part. We're looking at. The Rape Gang Enquiry report. Because this was released, 3 days ago? Has the BBC here spoke about it? No. Have the MPs spoke about it? No. Have the mainstream media spoke about it? No. No one is talking about it. I've only seen, only those on YouTube are talking about it, and only one channel so far, which is on my TV at the moment, is actually reading the whole report. But he's doing it over. He's doing it over 6 hours. I'm not sitting here for 6 hours. I'm going to do it over 2 nights. If it takes 3 nights, it takes 3 nights. Right? Because there's over 200 pages. Now, hold on. I've just got to put some up. That one goes over there. This is an 18 plus channel. If you're under 18, please close this channel down now and go and find a kiddies channel, please. This is not the one for you. Then I've got to put up, I forgot a trigger warning one. I've got this one. Not a trigger warning, but is an adult only channel. Viewer discretion advised. I will also say, if it gets too much for anyone, walk away. Walk away. Because some of what you're going to be hearing and reading and listening to is very distressing. Okay? I just got to alter this. Put it there. So, like I said, 18 plus adult only channel. Discretion is advised. There's a lot of triggering. If this is triggering for you, think of your own health first. Walk away. Right. we're going to get in. It's the Rape Gang Enquiry report that Rupert Lowe, what he did, he crowdfunded. And there's 20, I think he said there's something like 20,000 donations made, which gave them the money and spare change, spare money after as well, to get this report done. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just phase one, right? This is just phase one. And this is what I can't understand. He's got this done in what, months? Months. I can't remember when he was looking for it. Was it January? 6 months time. He got it done in 6 months. And when you listen to all these others that have done inquiries into this, and they've only covered one area, like, I don't know, Telford and things like that. When they've only covered one area, it's took them like 2 years. And I'm thinking, how has he got this out so quick when everyone else is taking 2 years and costing billions to be done? So we have got, he put it out, he said he was going to do it, he crowdfunded. So thank you to all those who donated to this. So you got your acknowledgements. And it says, well, I might as well read it all, okay? Acknowledgement. Every witness who volunteered their testimony, whether survivor, parent, whistleblower, politician, or expert, showed courage that made this inquiry possible. The contributions have ensured that the truth is now a matter of permanent public record. Oh, yeah. Thousands have seen this report. This is one report, like, and I'm not going to cover over with, I'll make it all nice and sweetie, with any recommendations that won't be worked on. Rupert Lowe, MP, Energy and Commitment, ensured that the Rape Gang Enquiry took place. He has been unwavering in his devotion to making sure that this rotten stain on our country's history has remained firmly in the public eye. Now, what it was, you had Nigel Farage from the Reform Party, right? Saying, oh, if they don't do something, oh, he's going to get this and he's going to get an inquiry going, he's going to do this inquiry and do that and whatever. He never did. So Rupert Lowe did. Rupert Lowe kept his word. He said he'd do it, he fucking done it. And he's done it with not just all these snooty fucking fuckers who think, well, just tell them this and they'll be happy with that. No. He's had no whitewashing in this report. And there's more to come, believe me. There is more to come. And he's had, well, I'll tell you who's had it. I'll tell you here. Right? Deep gratitude is extended to the entire inquiry team, led by Sammy Woodhouse. Yes, Sammy Woodhouse is also a young girl, a woman now, but she was a young girl at the time who got S8, raped, trafficked, and all that lot. She survived, and she's fighting because there's loads of women that have not survived. Right? So she's in on this inquiry. So she's not going to let no one whitewash this over either. Nat Endably Shenton, I don't know who the hell he is. Marlon West, I don't know who he is. Deborah Sudbury, I don't know who she is, and Julie Ballon. I'm not sure if these two other women are part of the what's happened to them as well. I think they are. Worked tirelessly to bring the evidence together and support every survivor who came forward. A special thank you is owed to MPs Esther McVeigh, Nick Timothy, and Carla Lockhart for taking the time to sit on the inquiry panel. So they had 3 MPs. Out of all the fucking MPs, they only 3 will sit on the panel. That says a lot, doesn't it? Dr. Mark Jury has been extremely generous in enriching the report that follows with his expert knowledge. We are also grateful to Charlie Dames, Joshua Fern, Harrison Pitt, and Graham Smith for their editorial oversight and counsel. Right? Last but not least, we thank the untold thousands across Britain who made all of this possible by donating to ensure that this inquiry could take place. Um, right, the introduction. The rape, I've got to say grape. I forgot, I haven't, but I'm not, I'm going to say rape because it is the Rape Gang Enquiry, has now concluded the first phase of its work. It was established to examine one of the most horrendous scandals in the long history. Hi, Anne. Right, I've just got to put a bit of background music on because it's a bit boring otherwise. Right? Was concluded the first phase of the work. It has established to examine one of the most horrendous scandals in the long history of our country, the systematic targeting of vulnerable girls, overwhelmingly white British, by predominantly Muslim Pakistani gangs across towns and cities up and down the nation. And there's a map, right? They've got a map. When I seen this map, I went, oh my god, oh my god. One of the areas I used to live in, one of the towns and cities. Well, I think I've lived in several of the towns and cities. I know I have. I know I've lived in Birmingham, that was one of them. But the other one, Dundee, oh yeah, yeah. And the other one, guess where I'm living? Glasgow, yeah. Must follow me around. The evidence presented throughout the hearings confirmed what had been long known but repeatedly denied by many in the political class. Hold on, I've just got to nip to the ladies' room. Oh, sorry about that, everyone. I'm not sitting at my desk tonight. I'm sitting on the sofa. I wanted something comfortable. Well, my chair's comfortable, but I can't relax properly. Right? Uh, the inquiry welcomed girls, boys, men, and women of all races and religions to testify to their experience to complete to gain a complete picture of the rape gang phenomenon. Right? I've read the case report. The case report of 2025 states that the disproportionate numbers of men from Asian ethnic backgrounds. Now, I don't like that when they use the word Asian. I don't. Because that's a big, it's like engulfing everyone in one, under one name. They're not. They're Pakistanis. Just say it. Were among the suspects for group-based child SE. CSE. Child SE. Now I'll say it this one time and one time only. CSE is child sexual exploitation. Will not say it again. Baroness Casey quoted local reports showing that a significant proportion of those convicted were Pakistani and or Muslim heritage. The crimes stretch back generations. Oh yeah. These crimes go back as far as 1950. Mm. The Rape Gang Enquiry was necessary because the state and its institutions have failed catastrophically over decades. Police, social services, schools, the NHS, licensing authorities, and government allowed these gangs to operate with impunity. There is demonstrable lack of political will to confront them. The Labour Party initially refused a public inquiry altogether. Right? Only relenting under considerable pressure. It will be many years before this inquiry is complete, and there's no guarantee that it will adequately address the political sensitive matter. Despite now pushing for an inquiry in opposition, when in government, the Conservative Party did very little. Yeah, the Conservatives got beheld on this as well. The Rape Gang Enquiry was survivor-led. Every day the panel sat with Sammy Woodhouse, a survivor turned activist herself, alongside a variety of experts who attended without their specialist subject formed the focus of our efforts to get to the truth. We examined distinct areas of the scandal in turn so the maximally full picture could be established. Parents and carers described come on their experiences, instances of pregnancy, abortion, and child born out of R were laid bare. Whistleblowers who had been previously ignored gave evidence. Police and justice failures were documented. Social care, NHS services, including sexual health and mental health services, education, yeah, taxi licensing, demographic trends, cultural and social issues, and ideological obstructions to justice were all scrutinised without restriction. Nothing was off the table. Misguided political correctness and cultural sensitivity played no part in the proceedings. The promise made to every donor was honoured in full. The truth was pursued and justice was our only object. Survivors were finally given the platform they had been denied for so long and were central to the inquiry. The full scale and nature of the crimes can now be placed on the public record. Oh, yes, it's out there. It's out there. The true horror of what took place is no longer hidden. I knew how bad it was. I just knew how bad it was. I knew it wasn't just two little towns or cities. I knew it was more. I knew it happened in Birmingham. I knew it was going on in Birmingham. I knew it was on in London and other places. I knew it. I knew it on in Glasgow. I knew. I wasn't so sure about Dundee. That did surprise me. But it wouldn't. Well, it doesn't surprise me, but it did. Although the inquiry lacked statutory powers, the response was by statutory powers. It means like they cannot, they could not call someone forward, right, and give like a deposition sort of thing. They could not call anyone for and give them for a deposition. However, if they did and they refused, then why? If you got nothing to hide, why are you refusing to come forward? That's what I mean by statutory powers. The response was overwhelming. Politicians, whistleblowers, experts, family members, and many others came forward. Those few in prominent positions who declined to give evidence did so, knowing their refusal would be noted. Well, name and shame them. Name and shame them, dirty little rats. Name and shame them. Every one of them. The report sent out findings and made clear recommendations for how the problem of rape gangs can be eradicated. Yeah, send all the illegals back. Send them fucking back, right? And if their countries say, well, no, we're not going to have them back, say, well, you know all that money we keep giving you each year? Yeah. Say bye-bye. You're not getting it no more. You know what I mean? We're not going to give you this money if you were going to have half of your fucking population, the scum of your population in our country. You're not going to get no money off us. So say bye-bye. I swear to God, they'd be going, we'll send the planes. We'll get the planes there. We'll bring them back ourselves. Bit like what Trump did. Don't want to take your criminals back? Okay. Everything after today will be 25%. You know what I mean? And then by the end of the week, it'll go up to 50%. Within hours, I've been putting that out. The Mexicans and whatever saying, okay, we'll send our planes over to come and get them. That's what we need to do. Stop the money going over. Stop this money going over to fucking France. It's ridiculous. They're not doing feck all. Stop our money going to France and all these other countries, third world countries. We're a fucking third world country now with all this scum they've sent to us. So I'll just stop it all. Stop every penny. Let's continue, shall I? Now I've had my little rant again. I'll probably have a few more rants before the night is out. This report sets out findings and makes clear recommendations for how the problem of the rape gangs can be eradicated. This country knows the full truth. The country has been given the basis for justice. The country has a roadmap to ensure that these crimes never happen again. Yeah, we've got the roadmap. Keep telling you. Kick them out. Shut the BBC down. Everyone, by the way, stop paying your license. Just stop paying it. Stop paying it. You're paying for a bunch of pedos and a very woke people. You're paying for your BBC license. There is a little box on that TV license you can go down to, and you go online and you tick it, saying you do not need a TV license, blah blah blah. You tick it, you'll never get another letter off them, and you won't have to pay them either. So that's why they're trying to bring things like YouTube and that lot into and Netflix into the TV license. And I'm going, what? I pay for my YouTube. I pay for my Netflix. Right? Because I don't see repeats unless I want to watch repeats. I don't get forced repeats down my throat. Hold on. Hold on. I've been drinking coffee today with no sugar. Because it's like, because I've got this cough and it's so irritating now. It's going to start hurting my chest again and my rib cages again if it don't stop. So, by having a coffee without no sugar, it's just like having hot water but with the taste of coffee. And it clears my back and my throat better. Right, the country has a roadmap to ensure those crimes never happen again. But they are still happening. It's still happening. Still happening. Why? Because MSN, mainstream media, won't talk about it. That's a big no-no. Oh no, can't talk about that. Right? The MPs, the government are not doing feck all about it. Police, too fecking woke. Get the fecking snowflakes out of that police force. Oh, sorry, it's not police force no more, it's police service. Police service, you have to be so nice and nicey to the police service. Go fuck themselves. Right? As you can see, this is only just one page, right? And I've highlighted some. In the red, I won't say. In the yellow, I will say. At the very least, 250,000. Yes, I'll say it again. 200 for those in the back who can't hear this. 250,000 young white girls. And that's just that's not really the full estimate. That's not even the full total. It's probably a lot higher. Have been subjected to repeated gang, blank, blank. Torture, pregnancy, forced Islamic conversion, and lifelong trauma. The true number is probably higher. The perpetrators bear primary responsibility that the institutional failures that enabled them for decades, I mean from the 50s, that was before I was born, must be confronted in court records and official inquiries. Around 87 of those percent of those convicted in these group based, what is that word now? I can't think. Child SE, CSE, cases bore distinctively Muslim names. The vast majority of men involved in these gangs were not convicted. No, they haven't been. When you think some of these cases are historical now, they're going back 30, 40 years. Well, I'm 60, so that takes me back to 1966. We're going back to the 70s for some of these women. And further back for some. You know what I mean? But the ones that are actually speaking up now and talking out now are like the 70s and 80s. And the thing is, when I grew up, I was born in the 60s, late 60s, mid to late 60s, right? So I started my life really, even though I was born in 1960, I was born in 1970. So it was after that, in the 70s, I was having all the fun. Going out when I wanted to, coming in when the street lights come on. Well, no, when I was little, I wasn't allowed to do that. I was only allowed to do that when I hit like 11. Once I hit secondary school, then I was allowed to go out to like the streetlights came on. But then, if I wasn't in by 9 p.m., my daddy was out with the dogs. Yeah. So we didn't hear of nothing like that because they could bury it then. Because, whoa, you got to, oh God, yeah, just put it on your, well, just put that paperwork on your leg, you know what I mean? Let it gather dust. Because the mainstream media weren't woke then, right? But they was only informed of anything that went wrong by police, yeah? So the police, they go to the police, say, oh, anything happening today, any reports of anything? No, mate, we've had no reports of anything. Right? And that is how the police and the media work them days. They go to the police stations in their areas and ask them, anything? Anything we can report on? Any red drums? No, mate, nothing. Even though they could have a pile of CSC cases underneath the desk. Right? They're not going to tell the media that. The only time it would hit the media was if it was a red drum. Right? That is the only time the media will come into it. Right. The vast majority of men involved in these gangs were not convicted. Dr. Taj Hargay, an imam with the Oxford Islamic Congregation, believes the true proportion of gang members who are Muslims to be around 95%. Now, this is coming from an imam. He's a Muslim himself. You know what I mean? The figure far exceeds the Muslim share of the overall United Kingdom population. Wow. Whoa. So, this figure far exceeds blah, blah, blah. The overwhelming majority of the Rape Gangs network consisted entirely from men from Muslim backgrounds. And this report just goes into breaking down why they've got this mentality against white girls. But that's a bit further on, which might be another live. This won't be mentioned tonight. We just go into the why Muslims believe how they do. The inquiry heard harrowing testimony from survivors and their families. The methods used to groom children typically followed the same process. Girls as young as 11. They're babies. They're fucking babies. Well, anyone like someone in the 40s to me is like a baby. You're a baby. Right? But this is an 11-year-old. At 11, what was I doing at 11? Oh, I was up the park with my brothers. You know what I mean? I was only allowed at the park if I was with my brothers at 11. So that was one good thing about my mum and dad saying, you're not allowed at the park without your brother or brothers. Shit. Okay. Who's taking me? You know what I mean? Well, it wasn't Andy because Andy would already be up the park. He'd be kicking the ball around playing football somewhere. So it was either Malcolm or Mark, my eldest brother. Uh-huh. As young as 11, were initially befriended by a young Muslim man who then treated the young girl like an adult and would then start providing them with alcohol, rugs, and cigarettes. After a few months, the girls would then be collected from school gates. School gates. I remember coming out of school. I can see no strange cars hanging around outside my school. Right, and that was in the 70s and 80s. But I must admit, when I was at my junior school, my mum, until my sister started 2 years after me, when she started infant school, that's when my mum went and got a job then. Right, not straight away, but pretty soon after. My mum took us to school every morning and picked us up outside the gates every morning. And there was a queue of parents outside the gates. When my kids were in school, it was a crush between the parents and the kids when they come out of school. There's always that bottleneck. Ooh, we're out, sort of thing. As you trying to go out the gate, and there's about 30 kids trying to go out the gate at the same time. But these are young kids. Why are parents letting them? My daughter wanted to go to school once, right? And I think I let her go to school on her own for the last week. For the last week of this term before she went to senior school. She said, Mum, can I go to school with Daryl? She'll come round here because she lived in this other road, just round the corner from us. And then we'll walk up together. I mean, can I trust you? I knew I could. I knew I could trust you. Right, but I said to him, well, where am I going to go, Mum? I mean, I don't know. Before I get a phone call saying you're not in school, you better have a fucking good reason as to why you're not at home either. Right? And she went to school every day with Carol, and then I picked her up at the end of the school. Every day I picked her up and brought her back home. Then they went to secondary school. She started going with her brother and his friends. Well, they was her friends as well. Because she literally grew up with them all. Right? So I didn't have to worry about her going to school or my son because they was in a big group. There's Simon, Denise, Adam, and his brother. Then there's two lads down there, there's 6. Then Daryl, there's 7. There'd be about 7, 8 of them all walking up to school to get the bus. But I know they didn't get the bus, they used to spend money in the shop on the way to school. Right? But I knew that group, they'd be fine getting to school. Plus, they knew me. If anything went wrong, they didn't like to come back to me and say, Mum. And they'd be shaking like feck if anything had gone wrong with my kids while I was out. They'd literally shake. What? Right, they knew not to feck with me. Hold on, I'm just about to throw a cushion at my one cat, Bobby. Give me the cushion, Toby. Do I have to throw it, Bobby? Do I? Yes, obviously I do. Hold on. Say cat. Why are you so jittery? What's so jittery? Oh. So, after a few months, the girls would then be collected from school gates, care homes, and streets, just walking on the street, and taxis would pull up. Come on, jump in. Right? They were taken to houses, flats, restaurants, and hotels where they were armed repeatedly by groups of men, right? Tortured, filmed for blackmail, and told they was white trash or kafar, who, know what I mean? That's their saying for our white trash girls. You know what I mean? Who merited punishment. because those white girls, they merited punishment. Christian white girls, they was merited for punishment. Many became pregnant while still children. Some miscarried under trauma. Others endured coerced abortions. You know the backstreet abortion thing? That. That is still going on till this day. You're still getting backstreet abortions. Biting it in needles. Yeah. Hold on. Oh. So, yeah, a lot of them were backstreet abortions because they couldn't take them to a hospital or an abortion clinic because they were underage. But then again, they probably could have because they didn't ask questions. Oh, how old are you? We're 11. Um, and you're pregnant? How? Well, we know how, but why? You know what I mean? No questions were asked. It's like, see nothing here. Just carry on, nothing to see here. Okay. Right? Uh, some gave birth to children who were later removed by the state. You know why they was removed by the state? Because they were scared that they could be trafficked or SA'd. They were scared these babies that these young girls were having would be SA'd. But they wasn't worried about the young girls who was only 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 having these babies. But they take the babies away from them because they were worried about it in case they was SA'd. Make that make sense, please. It's ridiculous. So I'm to hold my mic in my hand, but I've got to do something. So, but you know what I mean? They was taking these children off these young girls because they're scared. They was worried that they'd be SA'd. But you're leaving the girls knowing that the reason they got pregnant was because they was SA'd. But it's all right for those young girls to be SA'd and get pregnant, but these babies, no. It doesn't make sense for that to happen. It really. Oh well, we was protecting the babies. Well, the babies are having babies. So how is that protecting the babies when you're not protecting the babies? Because they are babies. Because I was trying to work it out the other week about my sister's little daughter. She was 16 when she had her little girl. She's 33 now, so her daughter will be 17. And I sat there and thinking, I hope her daughter hasn't gone the same way as her mum did. You know what I mean? I hope the daughter's growing up with some more common sense than her fucking mother did. Right. Let's continue. God, I need a break. Did I put music on? Where's my music stuff for? Because I didn't put it on repeat, didn't I? Let's continue. We found that the same unspeakable crimes occurred in at least 149 local districts. Close to 40% of all such districts across the United Kingdom. Close to 40% of all districts? That's bad. And they've let it happen. The government, the schools, the police, everyone has let this. They have all failed the children, and they are still failing the children. Okay. Oh, we've come to arrest you because you put a Facebook post up that makes someone have a bit of anxiety. What about arresting those who are abusing our young girls, our little girls? What about doing your job? That is the correct thing to do. I put on a post a couple of weeks ago. I said, I'm getting anxiety with the police. You know what I mean? Because if I walk out, I won't go out because I feel as though if anything happens to me, who's going to be there for me? Not the police. Right? So my anxiety is going through the roof some days when I'm out. Really goes through the roof. And I said, so I'm just asking, is there any chance we can have the police arrested? Why? Because they're arresting everyone else for posts that are going out on Facebook or on X or whatever for someone suffering from anxiety. So I'm just asking, you know what I mean? Right, let's have a look. Where are we? Oh. Close to 40% of all such districts across the United Kingdom. See page 14 for our full map. Yeah. In fact, what I'll do, I'll put the map up now. Oh God, no, I've got to share it. I'll leave it. I'll get the map up in a minute. Survivors described daily are red rooms of extreme torture, moving between cities. That's another word for trafficking. Moving between cities and institutional disbelief that compounded their suffering. Some girls were even moved between cities to the Middle East where they would enjoy Islamic marriages. So they weren't just been moving around the UK, they was being took out of this country to the Middle East. They're not old enough to consent to anything. One girl, which we're going to read about in a minute, didn't even know what consent means. The democratic and cultural drivers are clear. Perpetrators from Pakistan, Muslim and other Muslim backgrounds operate under an honour and shame-based clan code that treated young Muslim girls, especially white working class girls, as property available for sex use. The pattern was reinforced by 8 theological and legal aspects of Islam. These include the doctrine of Muslim superiority drawn by the Quran verses that position Muslims at the top with a duty to correct non-believers. Well, I'm an unbeliever. Go fuck yourselves. The gang members' justification for their crimes can be found in the Islamic principle of loyalty? Yeah, loyalty. And disapproval, known as the whatever. I'm not even going to say that word. Walla, whatever. It demands enmity towards non-Muslims. The superiority of men or women, forced marriages combined with the absence of any fixed minimum age of consent. The perception of female sexuality is inherently dangerous. A system of SX slavery that authorizes blank with non-Muslim captives and a religiously sanctioned social hierarchy that subjects conquered non-Muslims. These elements filtered through clannish immigrant subcultures provided religious justification that enabled the systematic blank and even slaughter of white British girls. Right, I'm going to jump forward a bit because this can go on for a while. Right, overview of crimes. Blank gangs have blanked children systematically across every region in the United Kingdom for decades. The independent chair of the Centre for Excellence for Children's Care and Protection, Alexis J., has identified the 1970s as a decade when immigrant blank gangs first began tormenting the girls of Britain. However, the British newspaper archive revealed that the first recorded case of specifically Pakistani blank gangs dated back to 1955. When 4 Bradford-based Pakistanis were charged with blank, a 15-year-old girl from Middlesbrough. This was soon after former colonial subjects from the subcontinent as much as the Caribbean became eligible to enter the United Kingdom in non-trivial numbers under the British Nationality Act 1948. That needs burning. That British Nationality Act 1948 needs burning. What began as single and small-scale instances became systematic and industrial over time. Right, I'm going to jump a bit more because this can go. I will put the link for this when I upload it tomorrow in the description. So if you want to upload it and have it on your own laptop, then fine. Do that. If you just want to open it up and read it yourself, that's fine as well. Right. There. That's Dundee round there. I wouldn't say that's Dundee, but that is definitely Dundee. Yeah. Dundee in Forfar. Now, I never saw none of that happening in Forfar. But I know there was a fucking creepy guy who I did not like. Nah. I warned my daughter about him. I went mental at her one night because she'd gone out with this friend of hers, a lad who she knew, and they'd gone back to his. I was fuming. But I was just such. I said, yeah, and he's pissed out of his head. How's he gonna protect you when that piece of shit has a go at you, D? I was livid. Right, so that's Dundee here, round here. Dundee, Broughton Ferry, Arborough, right? Then you got Forfar and all these other towns further inside. Then over here, You got Edinburgh, which I'm quite surprised about there, Edinburgh. But then you got Glasgow and Lancashire and all that lot, you know what I mean? I thought, oh my lord, what the hell? Yes, we do need her. Well, we need to get rid of all these illegals. Look, people say, oh, but you don't talk about these white men who are our children and all that lot. Exactly. We know we've got them. We don't need to be importing them as well. You know what I mean? We've got our own fair share of sickos. We don't need to be importing them. And that's what they've done. Systematically over the last, 50, 70 years, you could say. Systematically, they've let them in and let them in and let them in. And now they won't stop them. They just go, open doors. Come in by boat, we'll give you a nice hotel room. And money. And a phone. Yeah. We'll give you a nice hotel room where you get 3 meals a day, you get so much money a week, you get a mobile phone. Yeah, come in, we don't mind. Yeah, come in and assault our children. Attack our women. And our boys. Yeah, come on, we don't mind. Yeah, right. So, let's continue. But look at this here. Look at this map. The lighter one is, it says, hold on. The lighter areas are suspected, the darker areas are confirmed. So that's dark, that's Dundee and all around there. I don't know what part this would be. I know that will cover Forfar as well. Dundee, Forfar, Broughty Ferry. I don't know about these areas, I don't know what these are. No, I mean, this is Glasgow round here, and Lancashire, that's Edinburgh, right? They're all confirmed to have these rape gangs. These have not been confirmed. Round by London, it's not been confirmed. Why is it not being confirmed by London? Isn't London there, or is that London down here? Oh, I thought London was up there. Oh no, London, I don't know. I'd have to pull my maps up to find out. But Birmingham is right about here. I think it's there. Right where my arrow is. That's Birmingham. I'll choose some good places to live, don't I? But I didn't choose the first place. I was born in that place. And it was nice. It was nice. But the last, I'd say from the time I was, about 20 something, from when I started having my kids, that's when it went downhill. From when I was about 20, so the last 40 years, it's gone downhill. That is bad. Just looking at that map, that's disgusting. Right. As I said, there is more to read to this. But I want to get to some of these testimonies. Now I'll say it again. Yeah, I know, Anne. I know. They have the cheek to moan because of the internet. Mum, be grateful. You're getting what you're getting. We've got people on the streets who don't have a mobile phone, got no roof over their head, they don't know when they're getting their next meal, and they've paid to their country, right? They've got post-traumatic stress and all that lot, and they've lost their home, their job, their home, their families, they're on the streets, they've got no roof over their head, they've got no money, and they paid to their country. Be 3 years, 5 years, 10, 15, 20 years or more. And they are now out in the streets, discarded like trash. But oh no, come over on a boat, you get a hotel, 3 meals a day, money each week, mobile phone, and the right to do whatever you want with our women and our boys, girls and boys. Okay? It's disgusting. I am fuming. That's why I changed tonight to do this. Because I was reading it and I thought, nah, I'm sorry, I can't wait till Monday to cover this. I'm going to do it tonight. I'm going to start it tonight. Right. Now this is Chloe. They're not their real names. These are not their real names. So please, I will say it again. If it gets too much, walk away. Walk away. Because what you're going to hear, you think, some of these testimonies that you hear is just unbelievable. But, right. Throughout her early childhood, Chloe was popular at school, performed well academically, and enjoyed an active social life. Although her parents were separated when she was young, she describes her early upbringing as relatively stable. Following the separation, full custody of Chloe and her older brothers was awarded to their father, despite his alcoholism. Her mother, on the other hand, was often absent from her life and became homeless following the separation. That's why she didn't get it, because she must have kept going off and leaving him with the father. Chloe recalls a generally secure and supportive home environment under the care of her father. However, following his sudden death just before her 10th birthday, now she's only 10, she moved in with her mother and her mother's new husband, a man she described as a pedo, by whom she was essayed just before her 10th birthday. I was 10th birthday present, wasn't he? Chloe's mother caught her husband assaulting Chloe on many occasions, but did little to stop it. On one occasion, Chloe's mother caught her husband in the shower with Chloe. Instead of intervening, she closed the door and walked out. At this time, Chloe was 10 years old. The blank soon escalated to the R. Chloe's stepfather supplied her with alcohol and cigarettes to keep her quiet, and she began smoking cannabis. Around the same time, Chloe started truanting and spending time in the local town centre with a friend unsupervised. Now she's only 10. What the fuck? Why didn't the schools do something? Right, she was only 10. She's probably about 40 now. But at the time she was only 10. Chloe started truanting and spending time in the local town centre. Now, I remember when you had the truant officers. Do you remember them, man? I played hockey, whatever, from school. Once. Once. I was so fucking bored. I said, I'm not doing that again. I might as well stay in school. Because to do it, we had to go down all these gullyways, climb over fences into the gullyway next to that one, to climb over another fence into another gullyway. And then we finally got to the park where just up the road from where we lived. But we couldn't be out in the open. We had to stay hidden in the trees and things like that. Because if the parkie saw you, the park patrol, the parkie they used to have a man in his little hut. If he saw you, he'd report you. So you'd be hiding in the trees so he couldn't see you. Or over the far end of the park where no one ever went. It was fucking boring. Never did it again. Right, and let's stop all that. Let's stop the truant officers. And to be honest with you, that's when kids were able to go about around the city centre, do what they wanted. Right, she describes groups of Muslim men, primarily Pakistani, as 20 to 50, showing them attention. For a young 10-year-old, very naive, being shown attention. Smack him in the middle, wiki. She describes, including wolf whistling and buying them alcohol. Now, people are petitioning to have that stop the wolf whistling. And I'm going, oh, come on. It's a wolf whistle. God, you get them all the time when I was younger. Right? Going down the road or around the city centre or walking along the road from back home from school. You know what I mean? But then you just smile and think, yeah, carry on. You know what I mean? I knew those guys were too old for me. I wasn't interested. And when I was of age, and I still wasn't interested. Nowadays, you just get them and they walk up. They used to walk when I was younger, say my 40s, 30s, 40s. Like when my kids were very young. I would walk on the street and a guy would walk past going, smile! I'd just look at him and go, fuck off. I don't want to smile. So don't tell me to smile. I'll smile if I want to smile, so fuck off. Where are we? Including wolf whistling and buying them alcohol. This is only 10 years old. Many were taxi drivers who would take the girls into the cars and drive them around the town. At this stage, there was no SA. And although the men's behaviour was clearly inappropriate, Chloe and her friend, then in the final years of primary school, which would be about, 11, enjoyed being treated like adults. No, you're 11. You don't want to grow up too quick, believe me. Because once you hit 16, your life just flies by. Fucking gone. Year after year after year, your life's gone. You hit 16 and where the fuck did all that time go? You know what I mean? Grooming soon intensified. The provision of alcohol and takeaways was accompanied by emotional manipulation with the men, many of whom were related to one another, presenting themselves as sympathetic friends to Chloe. Chloe describes the process as them mapping out. Are you a vulnerable person? Physical contact, including kisses and massages, became increasingly common. Meanwhile, blank by her stepfather at home worsened, and her mother was all but absent as a guardian. This was coming from her stepfather, and her mother couldn't give her truth. At this time, Chloe had an aunt and an uncle who lived nearby. She often sought refuge with them. She spent holidays with them during her earlier childhood and felt that she could trust them. On one occasion, she had visited them while truanting. If I'd have gone to an aunt and uncle of mine while truanting that day, they'd have been on the phone to my mum before returning home and spending the day there while her mother and stepfather were at work. To Claire's surprise, her uncle arrived at her house unannounced an hour later. She invited him in. After a brief conversation, Chloe's uncle essayed her. Chloe resisted and he relented and left. So he tried, she resisted, he left. She told her mother about the assault and her mother reported it to the police. Police accused Chloe of lying and no further action was taken until this instant. She had regarded her uncle as one of the best people in her life. Afterwards, there was no adults left that Chloe could confide in or seek support from. Increasingly isolated, she became more deeply involved with the groups of Muslim men she encountered in the town centre. One evening, Chloe's friends suggested they travel to a nearby town where one of them had a hotel. Now, bearing in mind, they were only 11, 12. They was picked up by the man who was drunk and under the influence of drugs and taken to the hotel. When they arrived, hotel staff saw them. Again, these hotels need to be named and shamed. The staff need to be named and shamed who worked there at the time. But did not intervene. In the rooms, the girls were taken, giving a potential strain of cannabis, which left Chloe, then 11, absolutely smashed. Well, it would. Chloe's friend was taken into another room by a group of men, and Chloe was grabbed by the man who remained. Chloe resisted, and he hit her. The man did not attempt to essay her again, and instead threw the girls, both of whom were still intoxicated, out of the hotel and refused to drive them back to their hometown. They was forced to walk. It was around midnight. She's 11 years old and she's walking. Chloe did not want to go back to her home. She was afraid her mother would beat her for being out late. She stayed with her friend. In the early hours of the morning, Chloe was collected from her friend's house by the police after her mother reported her missing. Chloe lied to the police and her mother about where she had been. Chloe's mother grounded her for a month, meaning she was stuck at home with her predatory stepfather. She had no chance, you know what I mean? A period she described as torture. It would be. After the month passed, Chloe arranged to see a friend who boasted that she had a new boyfriend. This boyfriend's 25 years old, they're only 11. Chloe left the house to meet her and the girls were picked up by the boyfriend, who was in fact a 25-year-old Indian man. Initially, Chloe thought the man was nice, posher than the other men she had met in the town centre. So Chloe and her friend to a shop where he purchased a bottle of vodka before picking one of his friends and taking the girls to the secluded location. During the journey, the men began pressuring the girls for sex. Chloe refused, stating that she had appeared, but the men replied that did not matter. Night was falling when they arrived, and the boyfriend took Chloe's friend out of the car, leaving Chloe alone with the other man. He proceeded to her on the back seat. 11-year-old girl. The incident took place in 2003. So, 2023, that would be 20 years? So 19 years ago. Well, no, a lot longer now. So she was 20, that was 19 years, so she'd be 20, 19, 20. She'd be 30 when she made this, told them about this, right? When this all happened. Chloe took the two men to court, but neither was found guilty. What a surprise. From the moment Chloe's life swirled at 12 years old, she began drinking, heavily smoking large amounts of blank and taking hard up blank, including blank, anything to block it out of her mind. She would drink before school just to get through the day. Her attendance dropped significantly. She and her friend would spend school hours in the town centre, walking around until somebody picked them up in a car. Somebody brought them alcohol or gave them blank. There was times when Chloe would be missing for up to 3 days. And what, she's 12? And she goes missing for 3 days. I'd go mental if my daughter at the age of 12 had gone missing for an hour. Where the fuck you been? You know what I mean? During which time she was passed between taxis. Blank, blank, and blank. You can guess what those blanks were. In every case, the perpetrators were Muslims and primarily Pakistani. On one occasion, Chloe was abducted by a blank, who was driving drunk and then taken to a graveyard. He gave Chloe, still 12 years old, whiskey before forcing himself on her and blank her. He withdrew before ejaculation and forced the empty whiskey bottle into... I've read this already, but it still gets me. And forced the empty whiskey bottle into Chloe's vagina. 12 years old. Where it shattered. Chloe admitted herself to A&E. You get to this thing and think, yeah, something's going to get done. You know what I mean? But no questions were asked about how she had sustained such an injury. She's 12-year-old with glass in her vagina, and you're not asking her how that happened? Really? That nursing staff, if they're still working, need to be kicked out. She was examined, the glass was removed, and she was discharged. Chloe was questioned by police due to her absence on a number of occasions. Each time she was asked where she'd been, who she'd been with, and what she'd been doing. She replied she'd been having blank with adult males in cars. Rather than opening an investigation and pursuing a blank, the police dismissed Chloe as a prostitute. She's 12 years. She was 12 years old. I don't think she'd even know what that word would mean. They asked her whether she was consenting to the SX activity, and I should be a blank. I'll go through it again, don't worry. And despite Chloe telling them she did not know the definition of the word consent. So if she don't know the definition of the word consent, she definitely don't know the definition of the word prostitute. They reported that she had been. That she had given her consent. She's 12 years old. She was 12 years old. Police found Chloe as well as other missing children in cars with the gang members on multiple occasions, but let the gang members go without so much as questioning them. On one occasion, Chloe was in the town centre and was identified as a missing child by a police officer. Questioned where she had been, Chloe told the police officer about the full extent of the blank, and the response of the police officer was that nothing could be done and Chloe was let go. Scotland playing tonight, football. My neighbour's just had a friend pull up, well, and he's got out waving a Scottish flag. Not because I'm not going to well, I won't be sleeping while my tablets aren't kicking in. In response, sorry about this, she was let go. In response to her twins' deteriorating behaviour, the school regularly placed Chloe in isolation and compelled her to attend additional after-school class every day. Well, at least she wasn't going home to her stepfather. This did little to improve her emotional state, and she continued to spend time with her friend and her friend's boyfriend. She knew what was going to happen, though. This is what I can't understand. She knew what was going to happen, so why did that? You know what I mean? She didn't want to go home because of her stepfather, because she knew what would happen. But she's quite taking herself to these groups of men, where she knew what would happen. Yeah? This went on for a number of years. The boyfriend would supply the girls with blank, as well as introducing them to his friends, who were exclusively South Asian men. On one occasion, he took the girls to his place of work, a textiles factory, where he raped Chloe. Oh, I should write that one blanked out. I will blank that one out. That one I did miss. Right? Right, let's carry on. Chloe stopped spending time with her friend, who up until this point had accompanied her throughout her blank. By this time, Chloe had become accustomed to her lifestyle of spending time with the Muslim gang, as she continued to do so without a friend. On one occasion, following another late return home, her mother grounded her for 2 months. Fearing further blank from her stepfather, Chloe walked to a nearby social services office while her mother was at work and reported him. Oh, God. Come on. Reported him, Chloe was interviewed by the social worker about the blank, after which her mother and stepfather were arrested and questioned. Both the mother and the stepfather denied that the blank was taking place and was released without charge. I didn't do it. No, didn't do it. Okay, we believe you. Chloe made further appeals to social services and was eventually removed from the house and placed in foster care. She lived with a couple who cared for several other foster children, and although she found them snobby and judgmental, found some semblance of stability with them, but did not last long. She was still living in the same town, so when she went into the town centre, as she often did, both along with the foster carers, the Muslim gangs would recognise her and target her. She remained at the same school, and because she now lived further away, the foster carers paid for taxis to take her there. She asked the taxi driver to drop her near the school, and rather than attending, would walk to one of the neighbourhoods where the Muslim gangs spent their time. Why? Why? Why didn't you just come to school? That way you're not going to get assaulted or anything. You're going to have a period of calm. You know what I mean? Normality. I see, blah, blah, blah. She would walk one to one of the neighbourhoods where the Muslim gangs spent their time. The gangs would take her into their taxis, ply her with blank and blank her. around the age of 13. So all this is going on, she's only 12. At the age of 13, Chloe disclosed to social services that she was being blanked by gangs of Muslim men. In response, social services did not intervene, but rather talked to Chloe about contraception and sexual health. She's 12 years old. Well, she's just turned 13. Fuck's sake. Where she was diagnosed with chlamydia in her throat and vagina, gonorrhea, genital warts, and pelvic inflammatory disease. Never heard of that one before. Neither the social workers nor the clinic staff questioned or reported this. That's, you know what I mean? And it still goes on today. They're not being questions about anything. The police were aware of Chloe's activities, but instead of targeting those responsible for her blank, they routinely failed to question them, let alone pursue further action when Chloe was found in the cars and houses with them. Chloe soon moved to a different foster care arrangement with a far more protective carer. On one occasion, a gang came to the foster home for searching for Chloe, and the carer fought them in the streets to protect her. Good on her! Around the time Chloe turned 14, a social worker... Listen to this. I think this is it. Right? Yeah. Around the time Chloe turned 14, a social worker approached her about her ongoing blank. This was the first time this had happened. Yeah. They didn't want to know before. Chloe was relieved that her blank was finally being addressed. However, rather than offering a solution, the social worker told Chloe that the producers of Emmerdale were looking for a young actress to play the victim of a child CSE, child sexual exploitation, and asked whether she would be interested in auditioning for the role given her experience. Now that tells you everything. That tells you that social worker knew she was being exploited. She knew she was being SX exploited. To mention about the role Emmerdale was looking for a young actress. She knew this girl was going through that. But rather than get the help she needed to have this stopped, oh no, she offers her a possible go for a role in Emmerdale. What? Following this exchange, Chloe, upset, angry, and I'd be in state of disbelief, ran away from the foster home, and after being abducted by a Muslim gang, was missing for 6 months. Over this period, she was moved across the length and breadth of Britain. She was taken to house after house and blanked by guy after guy after guy after guy. The men who blanked her paid money to the gang, which treated her a little bit more like a commodity. She was reported missing and a photograph was shown on TV. Abusers remarked on this. You're that girl off the TV that's missing. But her whereabouts were never reported to the police. Chloe describes a cycle of grooming blank, 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 blank. But you can guess what all those blanks were. This went on until eventually she was located by police. When the police found her, she was in a car with a South Asian Muslim man. The man was let go without charge. Oh God, make sure you still see this. Exactly. I would literally rip their heads off. You know what I mean? But it scares me to think this is what my grandkids are coming into. I didn't know about this when I had my kids. Yes, I knew there was pedos. Yeah? But nothing to this extent. Nothing like this. No. So, I've got one cure for all these people. And it implies a very long drop. And somewhere around their neck. A rope and a long drop. Because, as I put in the comments, I said it's pointless putting them in prison because all these Muslims, whatever, literally run the prisons from the inside. They do. They literally run the prisons from the inside. She describes the home as being like a prison. Every aspect of her life is controlled and surveilled, and she was routinely subjected to bodily examinations, including full cavity searches. Chloe found the experience highly traumatic. She remained there for 9 months, by which time she was almost 15. Social services determined that she was well enough to be released, and she was placed in foster care not far from where she had been living before. Chloe describes the new carers as positive, encouraging presence in her life, and in spite of her proximity to the site of her blank blank, Chloe found stability and security living with them. She enrolled in full-time hairdressing and beauty course at a nearby college, and for the next 2 years, Chloe described life as fantastic. Chloe approached her 18th birthday. Social services notified that her foster care would soon end. They identified a house for her after parting ways with her carer. She moved in and got a retail job to support herself. Despite having little experience taking care of herself, Chloe's life remained generally stable through this period. Eventually, Chloe established contact with a friend with whom she'd been with as a young child. She invited her over to the house, and when she arrived, she was accompanied by a group of Muslim men, all of whom remembered Chloe from the past. Immediately, Chloe's life was thrown back into chaos. The men refused to leave, and in Chloe's words, it was no longer my quiet little house, it was their house. They smashed windows, kicked the doors, left the house an absolute wreck, and blanked Chloe. Blank Chloe. One of the men, a previous blank, pinned her down, pulled his trousers down, and sat on her face, raping her on her own sofa as the rest of the gang watched. That one needs to be blanked out as well, doesn't it? See, some of them I have missed. So I'm going, before I go live on another one, I'm going to have to make sure I've gone through it all. Chloe returned to the blank to cope, alcohol and drugs. Though she was still working on retail, her ability to work was rapidly declining. During one shift, one of her colleagues, someone she was friends with, jokingly pinched her bottom. Chloe, traumatized by the years of blank, punched him in the face in the middle of the shop. She was brought before management and tried to argue her case, but she was fired, left with no income. Chloe spiraled further. The Muslim gang was still occupying her house and with nowhere else to go, no ability to remove them. She remained there with them. They routinely blanked her, including with objects including soft drink cans, keys, and a baseball bat. Before long, they started to pay the bills to consolidate their presence in her home. On a number of occasions, they brought young children into Chloe's house to blank them. Chloe recalls a number of occasions when boys under the age of 18 from Muslim community were pressured and bullied by their older friends and relatives into blanking her. Chloe was forced to commit crimes. Friends and relatives Chloe was forced to commit, including insurance fraud and the holding up blank rugs. On one occasion, she contacted the police to report an assault that was taking place in her house. And when they arrived, Chloe was threatened with arrest rather than the gang members, as the property was registered in her name. She's not the one doing the assault, but because it's in her property, she's going to get arrested. What about the guys who's doing the assault? One evening, a associate of the gang from a neighbouring town arrived at the house. Notorious. That should have been blanked. Definitely been blanked. Notorious SX moving. He soon began taking Chloe to bars and nightclubs in the surrounding area. There he spiked with heroin, that should have been blanked, before handing it over to men who blank. Right? Chloe became addicted to opiates and her health deteriorated with just 5 stone. 5 stone at the age of 18, and that was through the use of the white powder. The method of control by the gangs. As it left with no ability to defend herself physically, a daily existence became a relentless cycle of exploitation and violence. Eventually, a social worker visited Chloe was shocked by both her appearance and the conditions in which she was living. Concerned for her welfare, she took Chloe to an addiction clinic where tests revealed an extremely high concentration of opiates in her system. Chloe was prescribed medication to manage her opioid dependency and gradually weaned off her drugs. Around this time, Chloe reconnected with her childhood friend, and the friendship seemed to develop into her boyfriend became aware of the ongoing blank, and with the help of his father, paid off Chloe's remaining rent and moved her out of their squalid house. Chloe moved in with him, after which she got another job in retail. For a short period, Chloe's life was relatively stable, but due to unresolved trauma, she soon returned to drinking heavily, smoking, and gambling. Her workplace was close to the foster home, and before long she came back into contact with members of the gang that had blanked her at that time. The cycle of grooming just goes on, right? It's just never ending. She has a child. She was subsequently coerced into converting to Islam and forced into marriage because of this child. Chloe's child was born with multiple health problems. I'm not surprised, including a defective kidney due to the deteriorated condition of Chloe's womb as a result of the blank. Nevertheless, becoming a mum gave Chloe a new determination to get her life back on track. She reported the father of the child to the police after he assaulted the child. He assaulted his own child, and he was removed from the property. She stopped taking walks, she was focused and not full of gangs, left her alone. But she's not getting out of that cycle. You know what I mean? She's still there. She's still in that cycle. Right? It's a good ending, though. This is a good ending. By chance, she reconnected on Facebook with a man she had known in her early childhood, an old colleague of her mother, who she described as one of the only adult men in her life who never harmed me or treated me badly. She told him about everything she'd been through and her desire to leave. He lived in Scotland. Hope he didn't come to Dundee or Glasgow. No, they're both nice places, really. He lived in Scotland and was invited to visit up for the weekend, which she did. After returning home, she sought support from a woman's aide who managed to secure her property in Scotland. With nothing but her daughter and a small bag, she left her hometown, leaving a lifetime of blank behind, and moved to Scotland, where she resides to this day. Chloe personally knows at least 20 other girls from her area who were predated on by Muslim gangs who blanked her. The pattern was always the same: grooming, blank, like alcohol, drugs, not that lot. Furthermore, Chloe described being taken to mask and preached that white women who dressed inappropriately were free game. Maybe over in Pakistan or somewhere like that, then yeah. But this is a UK. This is what I mean. This has been going on from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. It's still going on. It's never ending. Chloe believes that the local police, social services, NHS and government were all fully aware of what was going on, including the racialised nature of the crime, but they did not intervene for two reasons. They could not be bothered with the paperwork. Could not be bothered with the paperwork, and they did not want to be seen as racist. Chloe blames these bodies and the major push for diversity for her blank abuse. Chloe says, if I can just save one more child, girl or boy, from going through any of this, then I've done my job. That was only one testimony. One testimony. To read all this, and I haven't read all that testimony, as you know, I've skipped through little bits of it and everything. I've been on here talking now for about 45 minutes, and they've still got testimony after testimony to cover on this. But you think, oh, well, you think after reading that, after everything you've heard on that, the government, the police, the NHS, social services, we're going to kick themselves in the backside and get themselves sorted, yeah? No, it goes on. They've got more testimonies, which I'm going to read on a later live, another live, because you think, we looked at the Epstein files, yeah? That was bad. But this is 25, that's 2,000. No, 25,000. Yeah, 25,000. 22,000. Yeah, 25,000 I think it is. Right? And that's just a guess, really. It's more. It's a lot more than that. The government needs to stop now and listen. This cannot go on. And don't just say, oh, well, you see what we'll do, we're doing an inquiry. No, that's our fucking tax money. An inquiry for what? To do what? For them to say, well, this needs to be implemented, bump, 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 right? And you do fuck all. No more inquiries by the government. No more. Because they don't listen to them. They think by doing inquiry, it'll all go away. No, we're fed up of inquiries. It's not happening. I trust anything Rupert Lowe tells us and does. Because what he says he's going to do, he sticks to it. And this is just phase 1, what is released here. He's gonna release the names. I swear to God, I just know he will release the names of those that did not come forward and give their evidence to what they knew about it. All those who would not turn up, he's gonna name. I can guarantee you it. Because this has gone too far now, and to be honest with you, it's like we're constantly fighting for everything. We're fighting for the rights of our young girls and boys and our women, right? We're fighting for that. And then we're fighting to get our country back. And no one is listening. No one wants to know. And it's so annoying when that happens. Sorry about that. I just feel like we're fighting a never-ending battle here. And I think if we was to just get rid of these illegals, the ones who are going around stabbing our women and our boys and our girls, get rid of them. Tell these countries where they come from, if you don't take them back, we'll stop all money that we give you. Simple as. You get nothing off us. Let's soon take them back then, because I want the money. Or put the, like what Trump did, and put the taxes up on imports from that country. You know what I mean? Anything importing, anything importing from our country to their country, or something like that, put the taxes up. But I would just stop all the money that we keep sending to these countries, because we are sending a lot of money to all these countries. All these field drugs. And remember all these Live Aid things they used to do for these third world countries? Can we have a Live Aid concert for the UK, please? Because we're now looking like a third world country. We're now looking like a third world country. So we'd like a Live Aid, please. So, I will cover this more, because as I said, I haven't even got through I've only just got through the introduction and one testimony. I think there's about 5 or 6 testimonies. So, but there's a lot afterwards, but I don't think I think I'll cover it, I'll read it, bits of it. I'll just highlight the bits that I feel are important, that need to be heard. But I think these cases, where the women have spoken up, and even the parents of these young girls have spoken up, that they need to be heard. Because you will not hear this about on the mainstream media. Right? Last night I was watching, because I can't sleep at the moment because my tablet I'm on aren't kicking in. So last night I was watching on a YouTube channel the by-election that was going on. Right? And between the Labour, Reform and Restore. We knew Restore wouldn't win it. It would have been nice if it had. Hold on. I've just seen a cat across the road. I'm not sure if it's my cat. I'm just going to go and check. That's you. Where's Toby? Where's Toby? Where's Toby? Hold on, everyone. Toby. Toby. Toby, come on home. Come on, baby. Toby. Toby's got out. Got the bedroom window open, that little shit's gonna get grounded. No, I've seen a cat then walking across the neighbour's garden over the road. I thought, that looks like Toby. Then I looked round thinking Toby was on the sofa, and it isn't. Bobby's on the sofa. So I'm thinking, where's Toby? Oh no, Toby's in. He's on my fucking chair. You could have said something, Toby, like gave a little meow. For a little fucker got out. Oh, fuck's sake. Give me a heart attack then, thinking you got out. And there's me, look, sounding like a right twat now, shouting you little fucker. But yeah, that was only just one of the, what did I call them? Testimonies. And that went from page 19, page 18, I'd say. Page 18. Quite a lot. Keep going. Keep going, Angie. We're getting there. God. On page 27, and we still haven't finished her testimony. Up to page 18, all the way up to page 28. 10 pages her testimony was. 10 freaking pages. And we have got, I don't know if it tells you how many at the beginning. Like in the contents. I put right, it starts from page 18, the victim testimonies do. And it goes right up to page 100. That's how many testimonies they've got. They've got quite a few testimonies. It doesn't say how many they've got, but they've got quite a few. It takes you right up to page 100. And that's before. And that's just the testimonies. Then you got the whistleblower testimony. Then I was just into the demographics and culture part. But there's 219 pages of this. 219 pages. As I said, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We've had inquiries all the time on this rape gangs. And they came up and said, this is what needs to be done. Bum, 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 bum. But nothing ever gets done. Nothing. And they only look at one area. Right? One area, like Telford or places like that. One area. This one is looking at the whole of the UK. Scotland, England, Wales, Ireland, Northern Ireland. Now, they've been able to put that first phase out within months. Within months, they've been able to put that first phase out. Why is it when the government gets someone to do an inquiry, it takes years? Why does it take years for the government to do an inquiry when I know what's his name? Rupert Lowe only started it, was it this year? I think he only started crowdfunding for it this year. So, but we should be more like Poland. Kick them all out. Poland don't have none of them. Their data shows that 2,399 recorded rape offences in 2000. Right, in 2000. 2,399 recorded rape offences in Poland. Falling to 1,127 by 2023. That's a reduction of more than 50%. Three rapes, it works out at a rate of around 3 rapes per every 100,000 residents. Compared with 100 per 100,000 in the United Kingdom. So we really got to do something about it, because I think if we sort the illegal immigration out, right, and send all these that are charged with these grooming gangs, rape gangs, instead of, but you know what they do? They denounce their country. So that way we can't send them back. They denounce their country, so we can't send them back. So it's ridiculous. But we need to start sending them back. Don't fucking bother putting them in prison. Just put them on a plane, get them out. Simple as. Get them out. Because they only do a few years at the most. They'll only do a few years. Makes me sick to think it's our young girls. And you know, oh, listen to this. In part of this thing, they talk about the Sikhs with the Sikh girls, because there was the so many Sikh girls that are being groomed as well. But you know what? The Sikhs got together and formed like a coalition to stop the Pakistanis getting to their girls, yeah? But we can't do that. Oh, silly me, we've got the police, haven't we? Oh, silly me, yes. We've got the police to do that for us. They're not doing it. But they're allowed to have their own people, organisation put together to stop this. But we can't get our own group of men together to stop this. If we did that, they'd be calling us racist. We got our own group of men together in every town to stop all this going on, yeah? They'd all be called racist. But the Sikhs are allowed to do it. Funny that, isn't it? Again, I like the Sikhs. But again, it's one law for them and one law for us. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, everyone, and call it a night. Thank you all for being here tonight. If you like what you've heard, please consider subscribing. If you haven't already, if you're watching on replay and you got to the end, please go to my second channel where I put videos out. I haven't put any out for a few days, so I have got to get some put out. There's a few videos I want to put out. Alright, so hopefully I'll try and get one put together by over the weekend. I won't be here on the weekend. I've got my grandson tomorrow night, so I won't be here now till Monday. So I hope you all have a lovely weekend. Hope we get some nice weather. Yeah, such horrible acts. But this is what gets me is the fact that the Sikhs are allowed to get a group of their men together to stop these Pakistani grooming gangs assaulting their young girls, but we can't. Why is that? You're welcome, Anne. I hope your husband's feeling better. Well, I'll be talking about this on Monday night as well, but I'll make sure I've edited everything out that I want to mention. Okay? Anyway, the link for this will be in the description when I upload it tomorrow. So if you want to go through that 200 odd pages yourself, you can do. And I will see you all on Monday. So until then, have a lovely weekend and stay safe.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last.